Well, it's official. It is the biggest flop in recent gaming history. Concord, $300 million, 8 years of development time. It was dead on arrival and is now being taken offline by Sony. I've been following this story ever since the game had its disastrous launch, so today I'm covering the entire story of a game that somehow had a shorter lifespan than Redfall. Concord is a powerful lesson for all gaming corporations that throwing money at a project does not guarantee success. PlayStation has sunk hundreds of millions of dollars into this project, not only for acquiring Firewalk, the developers behind the project, but then 8 years of development wages. And if you don't know, the average wage of a game developer is around $130,000 for 150 developers, and then that over 8 years, that's already over 100 million. 156 to be exact. Once you consider advertising costs, how much Sony actually spent acquiring the studio, and then all the other associated costs, you're looking upwards of $300 million invested for a maximum player count of 660. That's right, the highest player count Concord received was 660. Not 660k, not 66k, not even 6,660. One of the biggest blunders of the modern gaming age. Heads are going to roll if they haven't already. So many staff are going to lose their jobs. It wouldn't even surprise me if the entire studio is closed. Many people have speculated that PlayStation was aware that this was going to fail and was ready to pull the plug and write it off as a loss. It's kind of sad in a way that Concord had a higher player count in their open beta, reaching just over 2,300 players. That's kind of the definition of dead on arrival, especially when the developers expected tens of thousands of players day one. So with that said, why did Concord fail to have any appeal with really anyone? Concord is basically Overwatch with a $40 price tag, another hero shooter in an already saturated market with characters that did not resonate with audiences. I mean, check this out on screen here. Here is one of the heroes. It doesn't look great. There are so many hero shooters now that do a better job than Concord in their own genre. I'm assuming because of the 8 years of development time, when the idea was originally floated in say 2016, the concept of a new hero shooter game was received with praise from focus groups. Obviously, Sony does a lot of testing and research to see if there's actually a desire for this game, but a lot has happened in those 8 years in the gaming industry. It isn't 2016 anymore. People are tired of microtransactions being taken advantage of, the same ideas repeated over and over and over. Players want innovation, and Concord brought nothing new to the table in an already oversaturated genre. Now, when you couple everything together with what I just said, it's absolute madness that PlayStation, Sony, and even Firewalk put a $40 price tag on the game. Not only that, but the game is inferior to other products that are free. In retrospect, that should have been the first warning sign for PlayStation. Unfortunately, this was ignored. To be truthfully honest, this whole situation reeks of corporations thinking they know best. Or if you gave the keys to a corporate executive saying make a game, they've seen something else is popular and they want to replicate that this time around, they are the ones footing the bill. As I said before, over hundreds of millions of dollars. AAA games nowadays, in my opinion, take far too long to produce. Concord taking 8 years is way too long. There's all this focus put onto graphics when all players want to do is have fun. A good example of this is BattleBit, literally Roblox levels of graphics, and yet hundreds of thousands of players were playing that game when it came out. BattleBit was made by literally a handful of developers. They listened to their audience. They saw there was a desire for a Battlefield-like game that actually respected the player's time. It's becoming more and more common that a handful of very talented people and many indie projects have more success than full AAA studios. From what I've heard from developers who are in the industry, this is because there's so much bureaucracy, politics, and so many divided opinions surrounding the game's identity. I've also heard from the conversations I've had that making a minor patch to a AAA title can take an eternity due to the red tape from these big organizations. The best example I can give about this, and since I'm a Halo channel, I'll use Halo Infinite as my example, I spoke to numerous current and former 343 developers who could have finished the leftover content players wanted to see. Those developers said they would have done it, but were unable to as it wasn't listed in their job description. Now, moving on from that, and the darker side of this whole situation is one, PlayStation trying to force their way into the market, and two, what the Concord developers themselves said when the game was released in reaction to player feedback. It felt fairly obvious to anyone that Sony was trying to buy their way into the hero shooter market. IGN gave the game a 7, one of the worst games released in the modern age, and they rated it the same as Doom 2016. Let that sink in, it is an absolute joke. The comments rightly roasted IGN, saying this is why nobody takes you guys seriously. It also didn't help that when players said, hey look, the game isn't resonating with us, we appreciate all the time and all the effort you put in, the developer's response said, and I quote, I don't really care. Why would I care? A bunch of talentless freaks are hating on it. I'm sure having fun playing it and I wouldn't trade it for anything. Well, you're not going to be playing it anymore as the servers go down in 2 days. I read that and I was actually making the open O face emoji. If that's the type of developer who was creating Concord, and if anyone spoke out about it and it was met with that level of toxicity, there's no wonder the game was dead on arrival. Like, how tone deaf do you need to be? And more than that, a piece of shit person to not only have that opinion, but he said that in reply to someone who was being genuinely respectful. It should come as no surprise he has deleted those tweets after they went viral. Now, as of making this video, Concord has only sold 25,000 units, which isn't at all surprising as Concord's open beta, as I said, had about 2,300 players. To put it into perspective on how bad this really is now, as of me making this video, on Steam charts, Concord only has 40 players. Literally less than one lobby of a battle royale is playing a $300 million investment. This makes it one of the poorest PlayStation launches in recent history, and I'm not even going to sit here and make jokes about it because the better all video games are as a whole, the more developers will have to improve their own products to compete with one another, equaling better games for us, the players. Now, the biggest part of all of this, and it came as no surprise, today, PlayStation announced Concord will be going offline September 6th. Potentially forever, refunds have been issued across the board to everyone who purchased the game, which is a big deal. That rarely happens. The official post from PlayStation reads as follows: aspects of the game and our initial launch didn't land the way we'd intended. Therefore, at this time, we have decided to take the game offline beginning September 6th, 2024 and explore options including those that will better reach our players. With that wording, it could be interpreted that Concord will be back one day with a re-release when significant changes have been made to the game, or PlayStation will cut their losses and move on. In any case, it serves as a warning to Sony, Microsoft, and really any big game publisher that if you aren't going to bring anything new to the table, respect your players' time, and really fail to innovate on any new ideas, it's very unlikely you'll see the success you want, and it's proof that you cannot buy players if your game isn't good. The last 5 years have been a definitive turning point in the gaming industry, where players have had enough and are voting with their wallets. Also, don't set your game at $40 when your competitors have a better game and they're free to play. And that's all I had to say. I feel sorry for the devs who did put a lot of work in and weren't absolute assholes. 8 years of hard work is a very long time, but in saying that, 8 years is also far too long for a game to be in development. In any case, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. I'll be back with a new Halo Infinite update video either tomorrow or the day after. But thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you guys later.